This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 191. Give away information and sell implementation. Are you a real estate agent who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan or any plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action, right now, to get started in the right direction if you're new to the business, or a better direction if you've been in it for a while, I've created a free jumpstart course that's waiting for you at freeagentgift.com. That's freeagentgift.com. All right, you'll have to bear with me. I am on the tail end of COVID during this podcast episode, so we're going to move on through it. Give away information and sell implementation, a really, really important subject to me. It has been for a long time, but I have to give credit where credit's due. Sometimes, even though you know a concept, somebody helps you even crystallize it more, because I never stop learning. Never. In fact, this is the first time I've moved my studio around a little bit, and you can see behind me all of the seminal books or the foundational books that I've read or continued to be influenced by. But then I'm always learning in a modern context. And one of the folks that I'm learning from right now is Alex Hormozi. If you Google him, he had a brand by the name of Gym Launch, and now he has acquisition.com. And he and a couple of my mastermind members that were paying attention to a lot of the social media leverage that's out there, but you just learn a lot of good business from successful people. And it crystallizes, the good news is this: a lot of the great business concepts are very basic and they get reiterated all the time. And so Alex brings to the forefront something that I preach on this podcast all the time, and that is giving away your best stuff for free. But he crystallizes it just a wee bit more with the simple word about selling, or simple terminology about selling implementation. So you give away information and you sell implementation. And I thought for all of us, that's a really good concept to grasp. And it's in line with what we teach here at the Realty Classroom. Meaning what? Is that we have always believed in the creation or productization of our best what-to-do information. So in other words, if you are a seller, or you are a buyer, or you are an agent, and you collide into the world where you see my brokerage brand, The Griffin, also known as the Griffin Realty Group, a couple of different ways that you might see it out there, and as it expands across the country and becomes virtual, we're just very adamant about not trying to make that rocket science. We're just simply trying to give away our best what-to-do plans to as many people in those markets where we find somebody who's interested in us. And that is the number one simple marketing concept that we're willing to live or die by, because you can't die by giving away some really good what-to-do information. Now, in Hormozi's world too, he gives a lot of good advice to people that, don't go out there and start making up stuff that you don't really know, or you don't have an expertise, or you haven't joined a company that's giving you that knowledge and that expertise from all their distillation over the years like we do. You can be a brand new agent and join the Griffin, and we're going to teach you these basic plans. So very quickly, we're going to find out if you're trainable and you're coachable so you can make adjustments in the real world. Those are two different things in my mind's eye. But we're going to teach you about the plans for the buyers and the sellers, and we're going to teach you how those work and how to give them away. And that's it. That's all there is to it. My best secrets, right? Secrets hiding in plain sight. But for some reason, it's really difficult to understand the power of giving away your best what-to-do stuff for free. And I think it's because what you don't really understand is the law of reciprocity. Now, if you're watching the video version of this podcast, somewhere behind me there is Robert Cialdini's book, Influence. And there are a lot of laws to human behavior. I know we want to believe that we're so in control of the way that we react to things, but it's not necessarily so. We react based on laws of human behavior to a certain extent. And the greatest one, I think in a positive way, is the law of reciprocity, or the law of gift giving. So When we give away something, we trigger that law of human behavior, and somebody naturally wants to give back to us. Now, I'm not saying they open up their wallet and buy our product or service that easily, but what I am saying is they want to give back to us something, even if it's their valuable time, even if it's the information that's on their mind as they're sorting it out. That's all a wonderful gift to get back. So, for example, and I would say, for example, before I say that, we try to do that in the entirety of our systematic approach to doing business in real estate. So for me, on the front lines, two of the greatest ways that we get involved with people when we first meet them, one would be telemarketing or outbound calls, calling people that we don't know who own a property at or above the median price within the geography within which we want to do business. That's a philosophy that I follow for my own book of business with my own sales machine, as we refer to it now. And that's what we do. We pick up the phone and we make an offer to give away our best what to do plan to help you sell your property. And again, we don't just randomly call in with that offer. If we're going to randomly call a geography that fits that geographic and price avatar or ideal potential seller, then we're going to make a higher level offer and give away our best statistical information on how that market's doing on a monthly basis. So you see, we don't just make this up. We give away information to people that could be relevant. And of course, one of the greatest things is when you offer your giveaway and it's lost on somebody, well, guess what? That's not your avatar. That's not a prospectable lead. So no need to continue to follow up because you're not going to prospect everybody and you're certainly not going to do business with everybody. So you see, this whole concept to me is just so darn logical and common sense driven that it's exciting when you actually see it work, because most of you are out there having a really difficult time trying to say, well, how am I going to jump into the real estate business? Or how am I going to do more business? I only do business with people that are referred to me. And I get that if you've been around a while, but what about all the people that you want to bring onto your team, into your company? What are they supposed to do? You want them to go grind it out? You want them to go somehow miraculously become you? And you think that's going to happen? It doesn't. Take it from a guy who has spent an enormity of time getting out of that mind frame himself, but also helping a lot of top producers try to get that leap into understanding. Even when it comes to agents, you've got to give away your best what to do stuff to them, or you're not going to magnetically attract them. And then what are they going to do when they go out to compete with somebody who's good and you've left them to compete on resume and struggle? See, anybody can compete immediately if they have good what to do information in any context that they can give away. Now, of course, our context is real estate, so it's not rocket science that there's a buyer and there's a seller. And even if you were an agent new to the business and you had no mentor, there was nobody like me out there trying to give away this stuff for free, and you don't even run into me, and you're just blindly feeling your way around in the dark of the real estate business as you get started. You could just simply ask yourself the question Michael Gerber asks is, well, how does the business of selling a house really work? How does the business of buying a house really work? And there's enough information out there that you could assimilate on the internet and put some major steps away and create a plan for yourself. And so, well, look, it looks pretty logical here that if you want to sell your house, these are the things that really happen. And that's an interesting spot to be too when it comes to the giveaway plans. I think a lot of you believe that there's this marketing magic that happens when you sell a house, and that's not the case at all. All these over promises. I'm going to market your house. Well, price it wrong, and that's a moot point, that conversation. So you need to become good at pricing. So when you're talking to somebody about selling their house, say, you better understand pricing, because if you get that wrong, it doesn't matter who's selling your house. And well, how do you improve yourself on the pricing ladder? Well, you really need to talk about what the condition is currently of your home and what can you do to improve that. And if you can't, what can you price out with contractors? And then you have to move your furniture around and get rid of your stuff. Make it zen. That's staging. Then you can start talking about marketing. which if it's done correctly, all the stuff before that, you have a nice digital potential, bring in a photographer who's a pro, takes digital pictures, etc. See, that's all what to do with or without me. And then if you're an agent, just organize that type of information because that's the way a house really gets sold. And voila, you have content. You have what to do. You can organize it into a master plan. And then the next point here in the podcast today is you can repurpose your giveaway information everywhere these days. I mean, everywhere. Think about it. If you start with a plan and you productize it, that's my best suggestion to you, is that you take this information, you write it down, you organize it, and you turn it into a product, a physical product, a physical infographic, a physical written plan, whatever it is. That's my best advice because that's what I do. That's what I did when I started to really get this. I productize this stuff so that at some point in time, we all know that the biggest impact that we're going to have is when we're face to face with somebody and we want to be able to give them something. And this concept of a leave behind we should be leaving behind what to do information with or without us. And that's the mentality of fear and scarcity that comes in. Oh, well, I would never do that. They'd give it to my competitors. Well, maybe they will. But really? I mean, do you really think people can overcome that law of reciprocity on average and then some? So in other words, I'm asking you, do you really think that if you gave somebody who had a context to sell their property some really good information in the form of an infographic on what to do, a plan what to do, if you really gave them that, do you really think they're going to run off, go find 3 or 4 other people and say, well, here's how I want you to do it because they have it and I'm going to go around their back? Sure, maybe at the very long tail, there's some sociopathic behavior like that, and they can't feel the law of reciprocity because built into their human, there's no empathy. Sure, I'll bite on the long tail. But on average, it's just not the way we work. Think about it. If you're not a sociopath and you're listening to this, by the way, if you don't feel empathy, maybe that's a clue. The point is, do you really do that to a lot of other people when they do you right? Don't you want to do them right back? I mean, that's the way it actually works. So now you've got all this stuff and you can get over that fear and that mentality of scarcity and you can give this away. Well, you can mail it to people. We call them and ask permission and then we mail it. That's what we do all day long. And then I'm fresh off of an open house right before this podcast. I have all of this best information ready to go so that if somebody walks through that door, the house doesn't work for them and they have the context to buy or sell, I have a beautiful package ready to go with the market update in there, 5 or 6 properties in addition to this one that's sold so they can see what the money's really buying in case they're thinking about selling, and then a copy of my what to do seller plan. And I give it all away. And I'm telling you, that has been one of the smartest things I've ever done. More importantly, I'm face-to-face in that context now with real buyers, not whimsical internet inquiry buyers, real buyers, real people getting in real cars, driving to real houses and looking. And a lot of them have absolutely no relationship with a realtor to this very day in the digital age. They're using a lot of digital tools to find it and participate in these events, but nobody is giving away their best what to do information to these folks for free. Nobody. I'm telling you, nobody, because I'm in the game. So the last point here is that when you really give this away, there's an act that's happening, and that's a very important concept to me. This is why my frequency vibrates exactly with all this messaging that Hormozi was talking about, is because I've always believed in this empowerment. So if I give you my best what to do information for free, and I trigger that law of reciprocity with you, my avatar or ideal client, and you appreciate what I've just done, and we get each other from the start, and you have context to sell, especially inside of the next 12 months, then you're going to seek my help for implementation. Let that sink in for a second. That's what this is. So you start to move away from the what to do, and they start to really understand from you how to do it But then they think, yikes, maybe I could do the how-to, but don't I just want to pay you for your service to do the how-to? Because aren't you the professional that is smart enough to give this information to me? And I presume since you were smart enough to do that, you really know how to do this. And let's talk about how you would do it. How would you implement this plan here in real life for my real home? What would that sound like? What would that look like? What does that process sound like? So you're now at a meeting and you're giving them even more insight on top of this information. And when they sign the dotted line to have you list it, you implement. Simple, right? I mean, it's just not rocket science. And I think that's what's amazing about this, that over time, not that I needed validation, but it's really nice that when you're just such a nerd and a geek like me and you're always studying this stuff, you really don't find some massive hard right turn or left turn in a different direction. You start to find that some of these immutable universal principles really do work. And that all the fear starts to go away. In spite of the marketplace, as I'm doing this podcast right here, we are in the beginnings of a probably a very serious correction. In the real estate market, interest rates have risen dramatically year over year, percentage-wise. The Federal Reserve is talking about more leaps and bounds. And by the way, look back a year ago, April. I usually leave these evergreen, but I'll give you the dates here. I just looked at April 2021, what the Fed was saying. Yeah, we just print money. And that's how we're getting through all this. We print money. And here we are, May 22, and we have a massive inflation problem. It's like watching a wild horse run out of the barn. And so now the Fed's just chopping away, at doing all of this quantitative easing, meaning printing more free money, and they're also trying to raise interest rates, and that's making mortgage rates spike ridiculously quickly, probably the quickest I've ever seen it in the 22 plus year career I've had. And so it's just stunning what chaos all of this is. So what better time to really have a plan that is not dependent on what's going on out there, right? I mean, think about this. People will always have a context. Look at you. If you don't believe me or you're newer to the business, go back and look at how many properties really sold when the Great Recession kicked in. It starts in really the fall of 2009. 10 is ugly, 11's ugly, 12's ugly. There's a lot going on, but there are trillions of dollars still trading in real estate because no matter what happens on the exterior, there's always somebody who needs to buy or sell a property. So the more that you're ready with all this information to empower them, now you throw in the context. So now it's not just how to sell it, it's what is happening in the market, that market update. What is happening with mortgage rates? How is that affecting values? Why do you have to price it differently than you did before? You see, that's all empowerment, what to do information. So you start with the base. Let me just organize this so you see it. Start with the base of your plan for buyer or seller, no matter what the circumstances are. Then keep them up to date on how the market's doing right now, monthly. And then give them the context of the things that are scaring them or making them wonder, maybe this is a great opportunity. I mean, savvy buyers are licking their chops right now. They're not worried about the 5.5 plus or minus percent interest rates. They're looking at the value of a property being lowered dramatically because they know the reciprocal relationship. If you could start to get a property at a much better price than was available for the last 3 to 10 years, all of a sudden this overcorrection and people bail out and things drop down and you can buy that. So what about the interest rate? You're probably paying the same principal and interest payment that you were at the exorbitant prices and lower interest rates. You see, just do the math, folks. So buyers are out there. So what about the buyer information? That, are you on there sharing away your best giveaway information with buyers right now? You should be. All right, let me go back and summarize this. because I could go down the rabbit hole of giving away information. And for me, it gets complex these days. I am studying all sorts of people on social media. That's how I really found Alex Hormozi. And I'm looking for their formulas for taking the best stuff and getting it everywhere, way more than I do. These podcasts are my long form content. But as you begin to watch my brand and what I do with this, watch me. Watch me evolve the Realty Classroom. Go look at YouTube and watch how I evolve that. Go look at, real soon, the realtyclassroom.com is a brand new site. I built that with my partner, and how we integrate that and how we're going to take our social media team behind the scenes, take a long form piece of content like this, chop it up all sorts of ways, give it everywhere. Right? And that's really just the way business is working. So give away information and sell implementation. And you start by thinking the first point, learn from smart people. Go out there and see that everybody's talking like this that's super successful. Alex Hormozi is my recommendation right now. Hormozi. He's a cool cat. 2, give away what to do plans. You got to give them away. If you have expertise in real estate, give away what to do to a seller, what to do to a buyer, for a buyer. And if you're recruiting, what to do as an agent. That's what we do. 3, repurpose all that giveaway information everywhere. Start with a physical product, then digitize it and chop it up and put it on all these platforms. 4, empowered consumers. Remember this. That's what you're doing by giving it away. You're empowering a consumer. When you do that, they will seek your I got so excited. Your implementation help. They want your help with how to do it. That's when they buy. Okay? Got it? Got it. All right, let me chunk it up and say it this way. Some of the smartest entrepreneurs understand the power of giving away your best information for free. They know that an interested consumer will be very grateful for the free insight that leaves them to feel empowered while also feeling the need to reciprocate when their time is right. Your simple steps are: 1, organize your best what to do information. 2, turn it into shareable bites. 3, give it away on as many platforms as possible. And 4, engage with the people that engage your information, and you'll have more prospects than you could ever imagine. All right, remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with my free what to do information. It's sitting there. Free, simple business plan. It's a strategic plan I use every day and teach from. freeagentgift.com. freeagentgift.com. Also, don't forget you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. We also post our content on YouTube, trying to do a better job over there. So don't forget to subscribe to the Realty Classroom channel, turn on the notifications, and you'll see every time one of these goes up there. We'd also appreciate it, of course, if you would share the content with other real estate agents who need this help. And that's what I'm asking for, is my ask, here's my give, and here's my ask. We share it or comment. Tell me what's up. Right? Tell me what's important to you. I can cover it here. Believe me, I cover it every week, coaching or doing it. All right. Remember this, though. However, I sign off the same way every time. Nobody is coming for you. Okay? Nobody. Nobody's going to go do all this but you. So take action and get working on your business. And we'll see you in the next episode to try and help you do just that. Thanks again.